Dr. V, how you doing?
Doing fine, doing good.
This is going to be Dr. V's last day as Max Headroom. So come Sunday, we're going to have a new layout, a new format. We're going to look so big time. So I'm psyched about that. Whoops, let me turn this on. So I'm psyched about that, and we're psyched to be able to put it out. Hope everybody likes it then. And what else is going on? That's about it when it comes to the good stuff. Bad stuff. Let's go in. Today's going to be like a potpourri. It's going to have some issues today. First thing we're going to talk about, ICE. The shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas. 2 detainees killed. Another one, I understand, critically injured. I haven't been following it that closely, and supposedly, according to Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, there is a bullet that went out and said some anti-ICE with some picture on it. Number one, I don't trust Kash Patel. He doesn't know. He gets this bullet. It could have meant something else. Just like when he said he had the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, remember? And they didn't have the guy, and he put out the name, didn't put out the name. He said they had him, and they said we had to let him go. You can't listen to these guys right away. What we forget is in situations like this, you got to sit back, let the facts come in, let's see what happened. Right? Am I wrong? You got to know. I mean, yeah, why are you just up there just making statements and just Spartacus, what's happening, baby? And just making statements and like you know and you don't know. It's best to sit back, let the FBI do their work, let everybody else do their work, and go with it. He's unlocked, Dr. V. I really would rather him be unleashed. So, because that's when he gets crazy, is when he's unleashed. Take it off of him. Now, you don't see him after our show. Unleashed. Okay.
ChatGPT said my name should be Unlocked, if that's a better name.
It's horrible. So, what, you were locked up before? You should be unleashed, baby. Unleashed to the world. You should be where you're unlocked from wherever you were locked up. Either way. So, all I want to say on this ISIS attack on ICE is it's just the beat goes on. It's like Cher's song. The beat goes on, the beat goes on. It just doesn't stop. This violence, this nonstop need to just go out and use your guns and start shooting and doing things. It just doesn't stop. But we have to keep talking about it, because if you keep talking about it, maybe something will happen. Maybe something will slow it down. But it doesn't matter who you're shooting at. You just shouldn't be shooting at anybody. What are you doing? If you don't agree with somebody, engage or just talk or do what we do, Dr. V, Unlocked, and me. You just get on and you start talking. But to do this violence, absolutely uncalled for. And the guy, I think, killed himself, Dr. V. So what are you proving?
And another person who doesn't have it all together.
Right. And let's remember a couple things. It doesn't matter if this guy's right or left. If he did this, or middle, or whatever he is, he's a loon. Okay? Because if he's just going to come and start shooting people and then shoot himself, none of that makes sense, does it? I mean, come on. If you're going to believe in what you're doing, then you stay out there. And I'll tell you, it's just really crazy. It's like this guy in in Utah. He was a furry. He's a furry.
Yeah, furry, yeah.
I mean, we're just talking about situations where people just are not all there. And we just have to look at it and understand it. I don't know how we're going to catch them beforehand. I mean, there's some you can do. I don't know if it's that easy. It's obviously not that easy to be able to find people before they do things like this. But then the word just has to go out. We need leadership, which is not happening, to get out there and say, stop, we are one, stop, we are one, O-N-E, one. And we stay together, we try to come together. And it doesn't make sense to keep all this shooting. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. All you do is take another life. It's horrible. Who are we to take another life? You don't want to do that. Life is precious. And just do it, and then you take your own? For what reason? What are you proving? Nobody's going to remember you after that happens. You're going to be yesterday's news. They used to talk about Joe and I remember, back when they talked about the newspaper. They said, what's a newspaper worth the next day? It's worth what it costs to wrap dead fish up in after you're finished eating the fish, right? And throwing it out. Yesterday's news is yesterday's news. Why these guys even think they're anything, Joe, I don't understand. That's my problem with it. Where are you going with this? You're a guy, I'm assuming it's a guy. Where are you going with this? It just doesn't make any sense. Just quickly, you want to throw something, otherwise, let's roll. Rich.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that there's people who are having mental illness problems. And the question is, why do they act out by shooting other people? You know, and it's almost as if they just want to go out in a blast of glory, that people are incredibly confused. And I think for a lot of people, the climate right now, that there's such despair and hopelessness, and people don't feel that the American dream is something that's attainable. Again, why do they act violently? I don't know why they do that, but there's a lot of people are just incredibly upset, filled with hopelessness, despair, and some percent of them act out by shooting other people and even themselves. It's a horrible situation.
Do you know Rich Pearson? Rich is asking about you, Joe. That's Joe back there, Rich. He's right behind me. So
I can't find Joe. Where's Joe?
That's Rich. Rich, and there he is. It's going to be. We're going to have a different look on Sunday. So, but he's looking for you. Joe is there. That is him. Max Headroom in his last acting job as Max Headroom. So yeah, that's the problem. We just got to get on to the next thing. How much can you talk about violence? How much can you talk about people willing to take out somebody's life? This isn't political. It's just total sickness, and it's people feeding on other people and doing this. And there's no answer, I don't think, except that people are just irrational, and to them, life means nothing. And what are you going to do? It's horrible. It's horrible. I just don't know if I can trust our police forces or those who are supposed to protect us to really tell us the truth about what goes on what goes on with it. Okay, here we go.
I just want to make one other
comment. Go ahead.
Somehow we need to turn the overall rhetoric down. We need to reduce some of the anger. And I do want to point out that on Sunday at the service, that the widow of Kurt said that she forgave the shooter. And that was an incredibly good Christian thing to do. It was a way to turn down the rhetoric, turn down the anger. And I thought that was incredibly helpful. And so I would have spent some time pointing out the people that are working to turn down the rhetoric, and that would be a good example. Now, unfortunately, it was followed up by a president who said that he didn't agree with that philosophy, that for his enemies, he hates them and wants to get back at them. But there are people who are trying to turn down the rhetoric. That's a good thing. We should highlight that.
Okay, I'm with it. We highlighted the governor of Utah. I think he was pretty cool too. And you know, I say right on, this Jimmy Kimmel thing, that's a game that was played by the government, and he came on last night, and more people watched him than I think he ever had watching him before, even with the TV stations turning them off. I'll tell you what's interesting there. I'm going to kind of delve into this quickly. This is for the economy, and it's very interesting. Think about it if you're one of these TV stations. You're Sinclair Broadcasting or you're Nexstar. And right now you're looking at it as, I don't want Jimmy Kimmel on here because either I'm very right-wing, which is Sinclair, or I want my deal going through to merge with another group, which is Nexstar. They want to merge with Tegna. But these are local stations. Now think about this, and then I'm going to just throw it out. And we'll just go from there and then get back to our other stuff. You're a local station. If you start preempting, I don't know what the contracts provide, but if you start preempting the national shows, then what are you? You're no more than an old UHF station, which we used to have in the old days, where you had a little round antenna in the back with little static in there, and you had Captain C playing and stuff like that. Because if you're a local station, nobody watches local anymore. You're lucky if they read local. So if these stations are coming together and they're gonna cut out the national feed that brings them a lot of their audience, they are going to be cutting out the value of their own stations, of their own companies. It just doesn't make sense. Just thought I'd throw that out there, Joe, because they don't think that way. Once again, it's all politics instead of really thinking about what the numbers are going to mean when we get down there. When we get down there, but
I think all this is going to become pretty irrelevant event soon anyway, because most people get their content from streaming services anyway, so that the people who couldn't see Jimmy Kimmel last night, they could see him, an hour later on YouTube, so that they could just download his content that way. So
Right.
I think broadcast television is in trouble to begin with, and if they're going to start playing games like that, that'll just hasten their demise.
I'm with it, babe. That's where we agree. And that's where my point's going is if you're going to knock out the network who's giving you a lot of this stuff, and then you turn around, what are you going to offer to everybody? Roy Rogers reruns, Wyatt Earp reruns. I mean, what can you do? You're going to put your own money into doing it, into bringing in talent? It won't work. It'll be like the old days, the way it was here, where we had for weather, you had Ms. Rhea and the puppets. I mean, that's how it was, and I really think they aren't thinking. Anyway, Sinclair started with a UHF station in Baltimore. Captain C was on there, just so I thought you'd know. That's why I say Captain C, because I saw Captain C when I was a kid. So that was Captain Chesapeake, by the way. Liked them. Everybody liked Captain C. Okay, now.
Captain Kangaroo or Captain C?
Captain C, Captain Chesapeake, because we got the Chesapeake here, and Chessie, and Crabs, and that's Baltimore. So that's what it was then, okay? It was cool. On UHF, you could hardly see it. But I really think that they are really hurting their own value. You just sit there and shake your head. And so now what's going on? Let's go on. Where are we going to? Meanwhile, we're all so busy fighting with one another. We're fighting with each other. And now we go to Tuesday. And what do we have Tuesday? We have a shutdown if there's no agreement on the budget. Okay, between the Democrats and the Republicans. Now, we always hear, oh, they're going to work it out. And I normally believe everybody's going to work it out. But we're in a position now where Trump does not want to negotiate. The Democrats want to negotiate. What do they want to negotiate over? What we're talking about now is a continuing resolution. The Republicans want to keep in there what they've got, which is all the tax cuts, all the good stuff for the rich people, all the stuff that already passed. They want to keep all that in there. They also want to keep in the continuing resolution the cuts that are coming to Medicaid, and to all the other health care issues that are there. The Democrats are saying, look, we're not going to agree to a continuing resolution, the Democrats in the Senate, we're not going to agree to a continuing resolution until you agree to help people who have their health care that's going to be taken from them, where the prices, like on the Obamacare, prices are going to go up, the monthly prices, like crazy. So Trump's saying no, he doesn't care. Interesting. He may be willing to shut it down. He may be willing to let it go, but remember something. If they make a deal, it helps the Republicans, which it helps people. Don't misunderstand, Joe. It would be good if a deal was made. But if the raw political situation, which is right now how the Republicans and Democrats are looking at it, or the Trumpers and the Democrats are looking at it, it's one way or the other. But if some of the Trumpers came over and got smart and said, yeah, well, we'll give some money to help try to keep down the subscription payments and be able to help the health care and let it kind of keep going for a while, it would help them in 2026. But I don't see it happening. But who knows? I mean, Trump likes to say he made the deal. He may call the Democrats at the last second, or say, let's shut it down for a few days and see what happens. All that is devolution. We're going back to the days, we say it all the time, of all the money, all the way it used to be. Was that so much better when the rich guys ran everything? They are so much richer now. Nobody is anywhere near the kind of money these guys have. Is this the My Pillow guy? We're back, Thomas. The My Pillow guy. I love My Pillow. Okay. It does make good TV ratings. So that's just part of it. Here we go. He sold boats and cut them out and plugged them in. I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe I missed something there. Okay, that's from Benja. So maybe I misunderstand that. Either way, so we have that. So that's not going to help the Republicans, because if they fight, it only hurts them, because it hurts people who are not going to have health care. And come the election in 2026, it helps the Democrats. But if a deal is made and the great deal maker wants to make a deal, it's good for the country. But it would be really good for the MAGAs and as they go forward, because you got to help people with the Obama subsidies. And now at the same, okay, don't you agree, Joe, or what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right, that's a good one. So what's happening is, so something else we all may not understand, I get too into the weeds sometimes, is that the House passed it by a simple majority. The Senate can't. The Senate needs a bigger majority to be able to pass it. So you know there's going to be some machinations going on. If there's, I mean, I see filibuster going out the door. I think that was a big issue last term. I think you could say bye-bye to filibuster. I think in the end, the MAGAs are throwing out the filibuster. They're getting closer and closer, and it's just going to happen. But I'm not putting it on them. I just think they've got the power. If they want to push it through, that's how they're going to do it, and they'll be able to change the vote, the amount of votes necessary. You see that happening. Now, let's go to the economy, because if this happens and we have a shutdown, the economy is even worse shape than it was before. Remember, we have had prices going up. I put it into the description. 4.3% on unemployment. What is it? 3.9. What was it? Was it 2.9 or 3.9, Joe, on the inflation? I have it in the
2.9.
2.9. I have it in the description. It's all right there. They can see it. But what's happening is the prices are getting even higher. Now we're looking at steel. Let's look at some examples. I want to use what somebody calls an anecdote a little bit later. I call it a fact. You see Dr. V back there, unleashed. He's going to be unleashed with this quote unquote anecdote, which is really a fact. Excuse me, which really shows you what's going on out there. But steel prices. The Department of Commerce came out and said that steel prices in America are twice as high as the world average, which means they're paying $440, I think it's per ton overseas, and it's $960 here in America. And they pay double what they pay. We pay double what they pay in Europe. Think about that. 50% to 75% higher we're paying for steel. And because of that, nobody wants to buy steel. And now you have U.S. Steel wanting to shut down some of the steel mills, but willing to keep people employed for another year or two. And Trump refused to let him shut down the steel mill. But nobody needs the steel. U.S. Steel was willing to let them, people keep working there, clean it up in case they needed the steel. But you're not going to need the steel when you get prices like this. Understand how these tariffs really work. There was a perfect example. It's in the Wall Street Journal today. They just break it down. Do you know that when you're looking at tariffs, if you get like condensed milk, just use that as an example, or you get vegetables, and it's in an aluminum can, they look at the aluminum in the can, the government, and decides how much they want to charge a tariff on the aluminum can. So every can you get that you buy, if it's coming stuff from overseas or outside of America, you got to pay a tariff, which is a tax on the can. You wonder why these prices are slowly going up. So far, as we've shown you in the prior lives, most of the sellers, retailers, and wholesalers have been pretty cool at passing on the raises. But now we're starting to see this. Joe told me about coffee. I don't drink coffee, okay? But I understand from Joe that he loves coffee. And I asked him today, because Joe doesn't like to talk anecdotes. Joe likes to talk data, facts. And I'm going to ask him to show us some data. He loves coffee. He gets these coffee things, right? You throw it into
the K-cups. The K-cups.
Tell him about it, Joe. What happened? So you normally got how many in a box?
A box holds 12 K-cups.
And when you would buy a box, you would get
buy a box. It's filled with 12 K-cups.
What happened recently?
Now I open the box and there's 10 K-cups in there.
So it's like 10% less, isn't it?
So there's
more
space in the box. I don't understand. What happened to the 12 cups? It's down to 10 cups.
Right. So what's that? That's like 15% plus. But remember this, Joe. They're giving you that free space. Now you can put stuff in the box where before there were cups. They're not charging you for that space. Storage is very expensive, so they're giving you storage for free.
Oh, there you go.
What do you think? Doesn't that make sense?
Wonderful. Yeah, great.
But that's data. That's data. You're talking like 15% more to be able to buy this. It's such a rip. Our economy is in such bad shape. I keep coming back to it. Joe hears it. as the American century is over. We've been talking about this literally for years. When you break up from your allies, when you break up from your friends, nobody wants to deal with you. Nobody trusts you. India's got no interest in this anymore. And you sit there and you go, hey, meanwhile, you got China being smart. They are running with solar energy. Solar energy is tomorrow. Coal is yesterday. We're still doing so much coal now. It's crazy. And of course, the black lung disease that we talked about before, how that's going up. And that really makes sense. Devolution. Either way, that's happening, and our economy is in trouble because inflation is going up. Coffee, steel, aluminum, food, just going crazy. And at the same time, the government is taking taxes. Remember, they said in this big, beautiful bill that they were reducing your tax rates, right? But they didn't tell you how much they were charging you on the back end to be able to buy things retail. So it offsets. And while the inflation goes up, remember, it compounds. If inflation goes up 2% this month and 1% the next month, then it has gone up 3% because inflation doesn't go down. Prices don't go down. Inflation may go down a little. Prices normally don't go down. They only go up, become embedded and just get higher and higher. And that's where we are. And now we have hot data out of Dr. V unleashed, letting us know exactly how it's hitting on the front lines of coffee, which is major because everybody, I don't, but almost everybody I know drinks coffee. Joe?
Well, I have a cup every day.
Do you like paying 15% more?
To be fair, this probably kicked in about a year ago. I first started seeing it, so it's.
Well, what about the price?
The shrinkflation, I guess.
But what about the price?
They get less for the same price.
Well, has the price been going up? Have you been comparing the price, or you don't look?
I don't look at the price.
Oh, they love you. They love you. You go into any of these places, I'm hearing the prices are like crazy right now. They love you. Oh, who cares? I got my credit card. Just send it. Well, man, can I sell you something, Dr. V? It would be my pleasure. Give me that credit card. We'd be running with it. But so we have that. And at the same time, while this is going on, our history is being erased. And we'll get to the First Amendment, but our history is being erased. As you've seen in the forestry department, they've taken down pictures of our history. In 1863, this iconic picture, they don't teach history anymore. I don't think they taught history really to my kids that much. But my kids' age, they sure don't teach it now. It's all STEM. Joe knows how I feel about it. I moan about it all the time. STEM. Bottom line is we don't know our history. We don't know what we're losing. But there's this picture. It's an iconic picture of a slave or a former slave, enslaved, 1863, with his back totally destroyed, no shirt on, from a whip. To remember what that used to be like. And Trump had that picture taken down. That and whatever else. To erase history. Why are we afraid of our history? One of the things that made America so great was that we saw our mistakes and tried to deal with them. We may not have dealt with them competently. We may not have dealt with them as fast as we should have. We may not have done the greatest job, but we tried to deal with it, and then we would deal with it. And it may take years, but we got it done. Slavery is a part of America. How can we deny our history? It's what it is. And one of the incredible things is, as horrible as it was, as absolutely as horrible as it was, because remember, it still goes on around the world in other countries, but as horrible as it was absolutely horrible. We still took steps necessary to end it. You had a war. People say it wasn't that important. Yeah, the war was over slavery. If there was no slavery, there would have been no civil war. Really simple, okay? We had civil rights here. We had people fighting to give people, to make sure that all Americans have the rights they're entitled to. Because what people forget in this country is you either stand together or you stand alone. They take the rights from you, they'll take it from him, they'll take it from her, because when government starts making its move, if you don't stand up and deal with it and say something and be upfront and say, don't you take my rights, they will just keep on just rolling over you like a big truck just cruising down 95. That's the problem. You have to stand up. So what just happened with Jimmy Kimmel? It wasn't Jimmy Kimmel, it was Disney. And Disney got pushed around by the president. And the president said in a True Social text, or whatever they call him, an X, whatever they call his True Social missives, that ABC had told him that they were taking Kimmel off the air, and he was mad that they put him right back on, and he's going to do something about it. Think about what's going on. Luckily, people stood up and said, no, that's it. No. Yet at the same time, you had government using corporations to do what government is not allowed to do constitutionally. When you sit back and think about it, these guys are smart. Trump hired these guys, what was it, the 2025 group or whatever it was, Joe? And they had years to prepare for this. And you got to give them so much credit on how successful they've been, how they knew what they were doing, and they keep coming out 3-4 things at a time as they keep moving. But this has been so successful because they'll take this, they'll move this away, you'll go, oh, I don't want to deal with it, oh, I'll get away with it, I'll make CBS pay because CBS wanted to have the merger with the Ellisons. I don't remember the name of their company. They own Paramount, which owns CBS. Now that group wants to own, or they say they want to own, I believe, Warner Brothers. Whose permission do they need for that? The government. So what's going to happen? Larry Ellison and his son are, and I think the son runs it, are very right wing, which is okay. They got every right to be whatever they want. It's their money. They earn their money. Yet at the same time, if you're playing with the government and the government uses you to do what the government wants to do, then don't let the government say that it's strictly business. It ain't strictly business. Did you hear the head of the FTC? He was backtracking the other day. He stopped talking about, hey, we're going to do it the easy way or the hard way. You know, you're Italian. Yeah. You're Italian, Joe. You could do the Italian accent. I can't. I can only do it in a Yiddish accent. But it's not as viable that way. But that's where we are. So you got to stand up, and people have to remember. I give Ted Cruz so much credit.
Give Cruz credit. You have to give Cruz credit.
I mean, wow. And meanwhile, on the other end, Senator Loomis from, Montana, who said, I have to now wonder how absolute the First Amendment is. That's a U.S. senator. That's who's she work for? MAGA? For Trump? Who does she work for? Her citizens should be looking at her. Those citizens of Montana, I think it's Wyoming. Those citizens should be looking at, do they all believe that? You kidding? In big sky country, in areas like that, where you're free to roam the land and do what you want to do, you want to believe what you want to believe. You want to say what you want to say. And now your senator is saying it's not absolute anymore. It's not as absolute as I thought it was. I'm waiting for her to say the Second Amendment is more absolute than the First Amendment. Haven't heard that yet, but I'm waiting to hear it. But man, you just got to give him credit. I'm telling you, it's Cruz just did it, and I say right on. Because people forget, the first time somebody takes away your rights, it's over. This is, Joe, you and I we were alive then, but we were running around like in kindergarten. You had the McCarthy era.
Yeah, McCarthy era.
In the 50s, you're a communist, you lost your job. You're a communist, you lost your job. Guilty until proven innocent. Isn't that where we are now, Joe? The president says you did something wrong, therefore you are guilty because I say you are guilty, and if I say you are guilty, you are guilty, and that's the way it is, right? Guilty until proven innocent. Yet so he'll charge all these people with mortgage fraud, but won't look at his own people who are possibly committing mortgage fraud using the president's definition. Because they're just after everyone. It's absolutely outrageous. And it brings me back to where I'm going, because it's more than First Amendment. It's unity. If we don't start coming together, we're not going to be able to protect and be one and be as one and be able to deal with each other and say you're entitled to your First Amendment rights and I'm entitled to mine and you're entitled to them over here. And don't run for these people, these congressmen who sit there and go, let's split up the country. There's the blue over there and the red here, and we can have two countries. No, we can't. What makes this country great is we all share the same ideas, the ideals, those rights, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Nobody's going to give that up. So how are you splitting the country in half? You can't. The only people who want to split the country in half are these supposed leaders who think they can get more power because if they can lead it pulling away, Joe, then they have more power in this half a country. No way. The United States is still a great country. I wave the flag. I'm just an American citizen. It's on my channel. Joe Unleashed loves the flag and goes crazy, okay? That's where we are. That's why we are together on this. To split us up doesn't make sense. To split us up. Go ahead.
You're right, Mark. We either stand together or fall apart. And it's in our country's best interest to stand together. The name of this station is American Citizen, and a citizen is someone who looks out for the welfare of their fellow citizens, people in this country, working together. There's the left wing, the right wing. The eagle needs both wings to fly, and that's what we need to do. And there are some good examples on both sides of people who are beginning to stand up for America, stand up for citizenship, and Ted Cruz would be a good example. And I think this is the model we need to turn to. And I think you're absolutely right. There are some people who are willing to take advantage of anger, revenge, frustration for their own personal gain. But it doesn't help the country. It doesn't help us in the long term. And we need individuals from all parties, from all walks of life to say, no, we're not going to take this anymore. This is not who we are. And I think that's what saved Kimmel, that there are enough people who said, this is too far. This is too much. We're not going to stand for someone who, even if we disagree with the idea of the government shaking somebody down to take somebody off the air. And we need to stand up at every turn and defend this. We have to be against violence, no matter whose side. And if you see somebody who's expressing violent intent, no matter if Republican, Democrat, left wing, right wing, stand up and say, no, that's not what we're about. When you see an individual that's being shaken down, that's being bullied, you stand up for that person. And that's what being a citizen is all about. And I'm beginning to see evidence of that people are tired of listening to someone who just wants to split us apart. So I'm encouraged by this. I think things are going to start turning around. I think enough people are going to start raising their voice because they can see things for what they are. It's not someone who's looking out for the country. It's not someone who's looking out for you. It's someone who's just looking out for their own self-interest. So let's us look out for the American interest and work together. And even besides America, look out for world interests. We have friends in many parts of the world. You can't treat your friends like crap. You can't put them down. You can't say that they have their countries are shitholes or whatever. You can't treat people that way and expect them to be for you when you need their help. And we will need their help someday, and they've been helpful for us in the past. 9/11 occurred, we got all sorts of support from our friends. They were there to help us. When we needed help, they were there for us, and now we're acting as if we don't need anyone. I saw a good quote, I think, by the Mexican Prime Minister, who said, you know what, America, if you put up all these walls, you're closing out 7 billion people in the world. And guess what? Those 7 billion people, they don't have to buy your Nike shoes. They don't have to have your culture, your movies. We can have our own Tom Cruise. We can have our own Taylor Swifts. We can build our own sneakers, own phones. You'll be left and isolated into your own self, and that's not great for our economy.
Joe,
and it's not even fun. I mean, we've talked about this before, that it's the spices of the world that make life interesting. And to turn away people because they don't look like you. That's not what life is about. That's not what makes life fun. It is to embrace people for their differences, but in a sense of mutual respect and working together. I don't know, that's what I have to say about that, Mark.
Good. I'm happy. I was happy you said it, man.
Unleashed or unlocked?
That was unleashed. I like unleashed better than unlocked. Tell chat to forget it. That ain't chat.
Chat said that there's too many unleashed already.
Well, then we'll.
Unlocked is novel.
Okay, we'll come up with something better than unlocked. I don't like unlocked. I like you were locked up. I mean, locked means you've been unlocked.
People be unlocked.
That's right.
I'm trying to free people up so that they can express themselves and feel comfortable and enjoy life.
Problem we got though right now, Joe, is people are so so mad at each other, they're not putting it together, and that's where we have to start coming together. Okay, and I'm with you, and I just think I'm tired of all this separation. But let's get to another issue, which I think is all still part of the unity where we're getting split up, but it's just so sad with what's going on. And we've been talking about how horrible medicine is going to be in this country, how Kennedy and Trump are destroying our health care. They got this guy, I can't remember his name, who just, they had, I believe, some new vaccine or something for some kids. It was experimental, and he won't let the kids use it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't raise it. I'll bring it up next time, Joe. I've read about it. It really worked to help these kids who you got to catch them young. If you don't catch them young, then they never get their balance and they can't walk and do things. And I'll get to that later. But let's get to the real one. So I just keep that in mind. This Tylenol thing. I don't know what I'm missing. You want to talk about going backwards, okay?
Yeah.
You got
Devo of the week.
you got a president.
The Devo of the week.
A total Devo of the week. Of the year. You got a president who isn't a doctor, who has no idea what medicine requires. You've got a head of HHS who likes to swim in polluted streams and bring his grandchildren down to these polluted streams. Think about these guys. And now they're saying, hey, women, tough it out. Don't take Tylenol. If you're hurting and you got a fever and you're pregnant, who cares? Tough it out. Get sick. Let your baby inside you get sick, because I'm not a doctor, but everything I've read said that the fever is horrible for the fetus. The fever really hurts the fetus. You don't want that to happen. Where are these people coming from? And then if you read the end of the HHS release about Tylenol, which, by the way, the president couldn't say it. Remember, he was saying I can't really pronounce it. Remember when he's saying that? That's what I was trying to be like him. I wasn't doing a good job. It should have been going like that when I was saying it.
Yeah,
but I'm happy.
He couldn't pronounce the word.
No, he doesn't even know what it means.
He's giving you good medical advice.
Great, no, not good. Great medical advice. But yet the HHS put out the advice was, talk to your doctor. Don't necessarily not do it. But you know what this has done now, Joe? You make Tylenol. Do you want to make Tylenol? You're going to get sued. I think there's already some lawsuits started. And does Kennedy have any interest in any of these lawsuits? Are these law firms that he used to work with before? Let's even go a little bit further. You're a doctor. Oh, are you really a doctor, Unlocked? Is that him, an unlocked doctor? That's him, an unlocked doctor. Would you, now thinking about it and listening to how I put it to you, Joe, knowing that the government has said that Tylenol may cause autism in a pregnant woman or for the fetus, would you, as a doctor now, recommend Tylenol to your patient if she was pregnant?
I've said it before, and it's still true. When you mix politics with medicine, you just get politics.
This is law, baby. I'm asking you. I know. What would you do?
Here are the data.
No, time out. No, there's no data here.
What would I do?
No, wait a second. I'm telling you.
I'm probably going to err on the side of saying,
right.
Well, probably the prudent thing to do is not to take Tylenol.
Right.
But the data doesn't really support that.
But that doesn't help you when you're insured. So you've got to make sure your insurance covers you, right? So you have to say, yeah, here's the data, but you know what I'm saying? It's like the doctors used to be able to say, you got a fever, take Tylenol. I know to do it, not to take ibuprofen. Ibuprofen hurts the baby, hurts the fetus. So why would the President of the United States do it? Because once again, Joe, it's a separation. He's saying people don't know medicine. The old people who used to work here don't know medicine. If you're in the box, you're a dummy. If you're an in the boxer, you don't know what you're talking about. Only people out of the box know, because the people out of the box can see into the box. And that's the problem that's going on. So this is part, once again, of splitting us up, because he's going, the out of the boxers say, don't use Tylenol. So if the out of the boxers say it, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't matter what the data says. It doesn't matter that there was a 2 million or 2.5 million child test in Canada. Wasn't it in Canada, Joe? 2.5 million, where they did all they looked at all these variables and all this kind of stuff.
The most recent study did not find any incidents.
And it was gigantic. All the others are just taking anecdotes, okay, and say, well, if I looked at...
To be fair, in 2015, 2013, they did some studies that suggested there might be some association.
Anecdotes.
Studies.
Anecdotes.
Acetaminophen can cause neuronal inflammation. So, I mean, there was some debate about this about 10, 15 years ago, but the most recent data suggests that it's not a big
What they found was...
The point is, it's not something for us to give advice on right now. It's something for women to talk to their doctor about, and use the medical establishment, use the relationship you have with your doctor to come up with good decisions that affect you. And medicine is not something that you just download from ChatGPT. It's something that you talk to a doctor about, who knows your personal particular situation and knows all the variables and can give you good advice. But you have to allow the doctor the freedom to be able to go back to the literature where he can interpret it and give you good professional advice. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, because he can understand how the data relates to you in particular. Meaningless.
It's meaningless, Joe. That's the old doctors. That's the way it used to be. Now it is, you're an old doctor. Now it is, you got to watch out for liability. And when you got the government setting you up to be in a position where any of your advice can come down and the person can say, my child had autism and it was my doctor's fault because my doctor told me to take Tylenol, now you got a problem. It breaks the whole trust. You could talk about going back to the doctor. When the government says Tylenol is going to do this to you and Tylenol is going to do this to your baby, you have broken the trust between the doctor and the patient, Joe. That's what I'm trying to show you. The government, that's where the unity is breaking up. That's how I see it. When the government comes in, a guy who's not who's president, who has no idea what medicine is, and says, by the way, don't take it, he has gotten in between you and your patient. At that point, you now have a liability issue. Because if you say to the patient, take it, the patient says, the president says don't, and HHS says maybe I shouldn't, and they take it and they have autism, they're finished. And there's other issues I'm reading which leads to this. They say years ago, this autism spectrum wasn't as big. But they looked at people and they did kids and they didn't know, they didn't call them autistic. They had other names for them. And now they've been making it so the spectrum's been getting bigger and bigger and bringing more people into the spectrum calling it autism. But they say there's a whole bunch of different types of autism. And the report and the the testing report they talk about is they found more acetaminophen, in, I believe it was a placenta after the baby was born, but that had autism. But that doesn't mean that was the reason. They're saying there was a zillion other reasons that could have been in there, and maybe it could have been a little, or maybe it could have been nothing. But you can't allow fevers to go in. And the point, once again, is this. Why is the government, Joe, getting in between you and your patient? What if Trump came in and said, look, when a psychiatrist tells you that you're out of it, don't listen to him because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He may give you bad advice. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, but he may give you bad advice. You'd be pretty angry about that, wouldn't you? Because what would he be doing getting in the middle of you and your patient? I really want you to take a step back. And doctors are really missing this. He is coming, taking the government and sticking the ministry of truth, big brother, and coming in between your patient and you. Because everything you say is right. I grew up. The doctor cared about me. The doctor looked out for me. The doctor talked to me. I dealt with my doctor. My doctors respected you. They talked to you. They did everything. Now, they can't, when the government says, do it this way. Now the doctor says, okay, unless I want to lose my insurance. Joe, forget the old way. Am I making sense, Joe? Am I making sense? The new way?
I hear what you're saying, but I am backed up by my professional organization. The American Psychiatric Association came out with a report today to say most recent data shows that there's not a relationship between Tylenol and autism. And so I can relay that information to my patients and say, my reading is there's not an association between Tylenol and autism. And I can back it up by my professional organization says that there's no association.
Are they going to defend you?
The president says, who's basing it on probably data that's a dozen years old, or you can base it on my reading of the data and what the organization that I'm a member of ascribes.
And the patient says this.
The agency to make a choice.
And the patient says this.
It's not the right way to practice.
But that's not.
Have to debate.
I agree.
From their politicians.
You're right, Joe. That's the point. You can't practice medicine this way. You can tell me anything you want about these organizations backing you up. If you give this advice and the person has autism, the child ends up with autism, they're going to sue you. It's just that simple because the lawyers are out there. I understand the lawyers. The lawyers are out there and they're going to make their move. They're already suing about Tylenol now. It's already in there. The manufacturer has to defend on Tylenol right now. And it's up on appeal. The plaintiff's lost on defense, down at the district court, and it's on appeal. This is what's going on. You got to take a step back. You are so correct. But what I'm saying to you is they are destroying medicine. It's more than research. It's more than money. They are getting in the middle of you and your patient. And you, as an older guy, I don't mean it in any bad way, mature, experienced, smart, you don't look at it that way because that's not how you learned and how you were brought up. But the others who are younger are going to be sitting there going, well, I'll do my thing and I'll do research and I'll do this and I'll do that, but if I got a problem, I got to watch out because the insurance company may say, guess what? You say the wrong thing and I'm not going to cover you anymore. Joe, and I think it's horrible for doctors because we got the greatest medicine in the world. And I'm going to say this too because you can see his face. That's one great doctor right there. Okay, that's no jive either. That is one great doctor. Look him up. Not in chat. Look anywhere else. I know him. He's incredible because he cares about his patients. And I think all doctors do, or most doctors do. But when you're worried about your liability, it changes it. Joe, let me run into the mosh pit if I can, because I know you like when I do.
Yeah.
I know you like when I do this and my schnoz goes in there. Here, let me go back a little. Whoop, there's Joe. Let me go back a little bit and saying, here we are, light bends around RK because he's so dense. I like that. What we think of the shooting the detainees? Oh yeah, that's where we came from with this. That's how we led off today, was the shooting of down the ICE facility in Dallas, and how we just have to stop this violence is outrageous. The beat just goes on all the time. Sheriff should be selling a lot of music, but it's just horrible. It's got to end. And can we even trust the government to tell us the truth about this person who shot those people? Here we go here. It's Borat. I never did a movie, but you never know. Light bends. Hello, Extreme, we like you. Okay, yeah, that was a stupid argument. Tylenol isn't bad for you. It sure isn't, Extreme. You heard Dr. V. He came out, he just explained how the truth, it isn't bad for you. Mike, what did Mike say? Mike, what did they say? They didn't say it was bad for you. They didn't say you couldn't use it. Marco Grouch. No, 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 no. I've been called, okay, I'll take Marco Grouch. Marco Groucho. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Okay, we'll let it go. Here we go. Can I ask a question, Extriga? Mike, it's just too hard to look it up. Mike, what we talked about was, I'm talking to you about this. Mike's a friend of ours. Mike, this was this test where they found all the acetaminophen. Oh, man, Trump's getting me going here. The Tylenol inside the placenta, but they said it didn't separate out all the other elements that you have to look at to make a real decision on whether or not it affected it. And what they've been doing is just going in, looking at test results. These people who are making decisions and saying, well, if I shake up the numbers here, I can see this. And if I shake them up, I can see that. The fact is there's, I think, 2 million or 2.5 million person tests with the kids, and there was no difference. Look it up. That's the fact.
Hey, can I respond to Mike?
Go ahead.
You said that the company that makes Tylenol said that, and I saw this meme out that
I just
don't use our product if you're pregnant.
I just responded to it,
I
Joe.
looked it up and I saw this meme floating around, and I would say that I mean, if you ever listen to a commercial, a pharmaceutical company commercial, at the end of the commercial, usually there's 20 seconds of them saying, don't use X, Y, and Z, can be this, can be that, where they put all this stuff to cover the rear end so that they don't get sued by lawyers. When this meme came out in 2017, we weren't sure what the relationship was between Tylenol and autism because there was some data that suggested an association. Now, it didn't suggest cause, it's just if people who report that they use Tylenol have a higher incidence of kids with autism than people who report that they don't use Tylenol, then that will show up as an association. But let me give you an example of why saying Tylenol should not be used during pregnancy is a fallacy. It could be that a factor like as you're older, you're more likely to have kids with autism is the relevant factor. And it may be that as you get older and you're pregnant, you're more likely to have headaches. And that's why you're more likely to use the Tylenol. And so it's not the Tylenol that caused the effect. It was that older women who delivered children were more likely to have headaches. And so when you do research, you need to control for these confounding factors. And then when you go back and do the studies where you control for these confounding factors, the association between Tylenol and autism goes away. And so, but the company in 2017 doesn't have that data where they can confidently say that there's no association. And so they're going to protect the rear ends by saying, don't take it. The point is you need to go to your doctor and find out for you in your particular situation, what's the best advice for me? And there's no such thing as a blanket recommendation that covers every person in every situation. And that's why you have doctors that you can trust that can understand your entire personal situation, give you the facts, work together collaboratively with your physician, and come out with the best strategy to help you moving forward. So I know, but don't get your medical information by looking at memes from 2017.
I'm with you, Joe. You're totally correct. And Mike is making our point here, status quo junkies. No, Mike. The point we've been making is that everybody, the Trumpers, and I'm not saying it as a negative, I'm just talking about those that just jump for all this stuff, are saying if you are in the box, you're wrong. It can't be right. The way it was done is all wrong. And that's not true. Most of the stuff we've done has been correct. Most of the stuff that's been done in medicine has been totally correct. Look how long people live. Look how well people live. In America, you live pretty good and you can live real long. And it's going to slow down how long you can live because your body can only live a certain amount of time. But it's been going up because medicine has been getting better, because we're able to control disease. It all works. Yeah, things don't work. Yeah, there are mistakes sometimes. Yeah, there aren't all answers. But to say status quo junkies, to say science never lies, no, science doesn't lie. You may read it wrong. We may get bad answers. We may have asked bad questions, but science doesn't lie. You get an answer. Whatever the answer is the answer. Whether it's right or wrong is a different issue. Lie infers that you're trying to hide something. That's not what science does. And for people to be that cynical, it's not going to work, man. Because then let me ask you something, Mike. Should I believe anything Trump says? Should I believe anything Patel says? Should I believe anything that Hexas says? No, according to your theory, since it's status quo, that's what the status quo is coming out of the Ministry of Truth of the White House, I shouldn't believe a thing. So maybe you and I agree then. Let's see here. Extreme. Wouldn't companies say this? Like my question is that Trump announcing, oh, now he wants the $100,000. Let me tell you something. You want to charge for people to come here? I saw this $1 million. That's so cheap. We talked about this years ago. You want to give somebody a gold one to come in? Make them pay $10 million, not $1 million. And while we're at it, why don't we put together something that Joe and I have talked about for years? I got it all over Just an American Citizen. Please go and look at it. Put together an immigration policy. We have the borders taken care of. Now we have to take care of the people who are here. The people who have been in line trying to become a citizen. It takes too long. Get those people through. Let's get the tests done. Let's get it moving. And then those who've been here paying taxes, paying into Social Security and getting no return, let's get them in line. Let's get the DACAs in line. Let's get it all set up. Then we don't have to charge people millions of dollars to come here and decide who's good and who's bad to come here. That's just how I look at it. TF2, Tylenol's already, the owners, the manufacturer of Tylenol is already being sued. They lost at the district court level, and it's at the Court of Appeals right now, okay? Appealing to authorities alleged the doctor wasn't owned by insurance agencies. What doctor? Dr. V's not owned by the insurance agencies, but you got to worry about your liability because the lawyers are going to sue you. You got a problem, right? It's no different than if the government sues you because Trump's going and suing people alleging mortgage fraud, which looks like total jive on the ones he's going after, and he's hiding and covering up for the others. But it costs people a lot of money to hire a lawyer, whether you're not guilty or you're innocent. Okay? No, whether you're guilty or not guilty. Not innocent. You don't have to prove you're innocent. You prove not guilty if it's criminal. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Doctor, I'm not saying autism, I'm saying anything. I don't know. I'm sorry, I lost you there. Mike, we love you. No, it says a syndrome. There's syndromes, Mike, and there aren't syndromes. What am I going to say? Dirty Sanchez, I had no idea. I had shots go to school, and you did okay. You didn't need a choice. You came out okay. Perps, want to get a rusty needle on my foot. Right, that really makes sense. You step on a rusty nail and don't have your shots. That doesn't work either, does it, Dr. V? Well, that's where we are. I love Mike. I love all of our commentators. I love Spartacus. They're all great.
I appreciate Mike's comments.
I do too. I appreciate everybody's. I appreciate everybody's.
And I think his position reflects how a lot of people feel about things. And so it's good to have a discussion.
I say, Mike, please don't be so cynical, though. Take a breath. Sit back. It isn't all fake. It isn't all false. Most of this stuff is working. It works good. We don't want to just throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? And that we were always taught. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Just get rid of the bathwater. You were born cynical. Mike, I love you. So was I. So was Joe. That's why he became a doctor and I became a lawyer. What can I say? It just kind of works its way through. Let me move to some music real fast here. What a great day. This has been a great, fun one. It's going to be the last time you see this man as Max Headroom. He's going to give me trouble here. I have not shown him the album of the week. There's the week album of the weekend, the album of the week. I'm sorry. My MOR took control of me, my middle of the road. It just did. Here we go. Here we go.
Jones again.
Are you looking? Are you looking?
Michael Bublé this week.
Can you see? Can you see it, Joe?
I don't see it.
You don't see a picture? Hey, we're the monkeys.
Oh,
And people
there I
say
agree
we're
with you.
monkey around. Now, let me tell you a
There
quick.
I agree with you.
Uh,
That is a good album.
Now, let me tell you what's interesting. This is more of the monkeys. The first album came out with I'm a Believer and Last Train to Clarksville. By the way, we all found out afterwards Last Train to Clarksville was an anti-war song. Did you know that, Joe? Very interesting. I don't know if I'm going to make it. If you listen to the words, you don't know if you're going to make it on time. But that was the first album. And then Don Kirshner, who was totally controlling the Monkees. And understand, guys, I love the Monkees. Not only did I love the TV show, I thought it was really funny. It started videos. It really pushed music. These guys could play their own music. They weren't the best at the beginning. Peter Tork was. He was really good. Davy Jones was Broadway, so he knew how to sing and do his thing. And Michael played. And I think they taught Mickey how to play drums. Either way, Kirshner did it. The music came out. But when they were out, Kirshner put out more of the Monkees. And he didn't talk to them about it. He didn't say, hey, I got more songs I want to put out. And they had a heart attack. They went absolutely crazy. Forget that on More of the Monkees. There's some great music here. Mary, hold on. Your Auntie Griselda, I always like. Auntie Griselda, I'm not your stepping stone. We all know how big that is. Look out. Here comes tomorrow. Davy going crazy. The women loved him. Sometime in the morning, 4 in a row was Davy. Laugh, I'm a believer. Who didn't know I'm a believer? And I'm a believer. The thing about the Monkees is listen to their greatest hits. Go and I never say video. Watch some of the shows. Put in there where Zappa was on one. So he's talking to Mike Nesmith. Dude, put in Zappa on the Monkees. Watch a couple of the Monkees. They would do their show. It was all silly jive. Then they'd have a really good song in between. Then they'd have silly jive, and you had to love it. And the best part about it was they were out getting high all the time. Understand, people get high now. They do their gummies, they do this, they do that. Back then, you got high. It was ooh, ooh. And they would talk about how in between takes, they're in the back smoking, jiving, having the greatest time. And you can see it when they're out there, young, partying. They got women everywhere, getting high, playing music. What a life. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And then these guys took it to the next level. And then Michael Nesmith, of course, took videos to the next level and pretty much helped found MTV. And you know, Michael Nesmith's mother found a whiteout. Remember whiteout, Joe? Most other people don't. You'd have typing, and he had this white stuff, and it was wet. You had to blow on it, and then you could type over it. His mother made zillions doing that. He then went on from there. Okay? He also wrote Linda Ronstadt's first song, Different Drum, which was when she was with the Stone Ponies. And his version was country. It was horrible. Hers, of course, was great. We all love that. The Monkees! One other great thing about it is it was never with a Y. It was with an E. When you talk the Monkees, it's with the E. And I saw the Monkees with Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. Joe, I went crazy. I love the Monkees. Hey, we're the Monkees. And people say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing mental health. J-Lap, let me tell you. Oh, man, J-Lap, let me tell you something. It ain't mental health. It's music. You get it. You smile. You have a great time. You get to see your commentators. We get to sing. We get to jive. We get to talk. We're going to see you all Sunday at 11. We appreciate every one of you. Sunday at 11. Thank you for today. Unity. Talk to people. Tell them about us. Unity. Please subscribe to Dr. Joe Unlock or to Just an American Citizen. Give us thumbs up. We appreciate it. We love all of you. And we're going to see you all Sunday at 11 a.m. And if you're square, we're not there. And Joe, that's the way it is. Period. See you Sunday. I do that all the time. See you Sunday.